Okay, welcome to week 6. Well done, you're halfway through the course. Hopefully you find it interesting, and please, if you need help with anything, just reach out to us. So, week 6, what are the questions we're going to be looking at here? So this week we're really starting to focus on project management methodologies and life cycles, basically how we build our BI systems. So the first question that you need to focus on is what are the considerations when building BI and analytics systems? So please always start with what is the end goal or business benefit. Now, even if it seems like you're building some back-end infrastructure to support that, you've always got to be able to trace it back to the business benefit. For one reason is if you're seeking funds for it, then you need to be able to justify that. And plus it helps you keep a focus, because with technology it's easy to end up consuming lots of time and money. But if you're not have your eye on what capability you're developing will provide to the business, then you'll get yourself a bit unstuck. So how can the BI project deliver maximum impact? And this may even come from being able to deliver a set of dashboards a couple of months earlier than originally planned, because they're going to be used for some crucial strategic decision in the organisation. Now, that could be as simple as, let's focus on the front end first, just do updates using Excel as a source or a standalone database, so that the end users can be making use of them when that decision process comes along, and then later on get some feedback and automate the update of data. That's an example of what I mean by maximum business benefit. So an important thing to establish early on is which level of decision making. So are we talking about developing, say, dashboards or reports, or some capability that will contribute to strategic, tactical or operation decision making? Now sometimes the data will come in and will assist multiple ones, but that's good to be aware of, because basically, as we'll learn a little bit later on, for strategic decision making you're often going to have a focus on a lot of more external data that's going to be a high level. Or for operational decision making, you may use less sources of data that goes into a lot more detail and needs to be updated more regularly. How are the insights intended to be used? So this is really important. So you can ask the question of your user groups, okay, let's assume you've got this dashboard. What will you do with the information that you can't do now? It's a very powerful way of establishing the business benefit, but also getting a sense of how the information is going to feed into decision-making processes. I've asked that question many times, and what's ended up happening is the focus of the project has actually changed considerably for the better. And importantly, by whom? So it may be we want these dashboards to be used by a travelling sales force, by our emergency department nurses, by our gameskeeper in the zoo, etc. So who actually is going to be using the data, the insights for which benefit is crucial, just as crucial as all the others. This will also inform your architecture, it will also inform your education efforts and inform your sense of how complex the reports can be. So having done all that, by the end of this process you should have very clearly, why are we doing this? And that why will help you be a guiding post. It will also help you get support from other people in the organisation for your particular project. What's our next question? What are the approaches to building BI systems? So, early on in the course you would have started to be exposed to the different types of analytics tools. So you want to make sure you match the tools to the users and the data. So don't design a really complex dashboard for someone who doesn't have much computing power or much time. Don't use video feeds when your infrastructure doesn't support it. So this is where you start to find out about your known constraints and timelines as well, and they may be time, they may be budget, there may be particular events that are going to be happening in your organisation that would be good for have the insights from your analytics project. When you come to actually building what you're going to be doing, look at both internal and external data and the team. So you make use of staff you have in the organisation at the moment. Do you co-op people over? Do you bring in external consultants in a knowledge transfer approach? Do you do a combination of those? You also want to have a look at your data in terms of centralised and federated. So do you bring all the data into one place like a data warehouse? Or do you leave it where it is, which may be in external systems, other organisations on the web, but instead build a way for all that data to come together. And likewise with the team. Do you need to have all your team co-located? Maybe you have some of your team centrally and some of it exists within the business, and so you have like a virtual team. The important thing is that leverage existing and planned information infrastructure. Take it from me, your job will be much easier if you can actually find out what exists at the moment, even if it's as simple form as an Excel spreadsheet, and you can make use of that. It gives you less things you have to build and means you can deliver results sooner, and so that's a good thing for seeking funding and doing additional work later on. Our next question then is, how do you plan and manage for BI projects? Just like IT project methodologies, there are many project management methodologies. So you want to find a great project management tool and a methodology, and a starting point is often what's successful in your organisation at the moment, even if it hasn't been used for data projects in the past. Why is that? Because there's already going to be governance and reporting processes in place. It means that when you're tracking the project and funding it, you're in a much better position because it fits with what the organisation's used to already. However, you don't have to do that. Get access to experienced expertise. Now notice I use the word get access. Your project may not be big enough to actually employ people who have lots of expertise in the particular analytics capability you're building, but it's worth even getting some of those people in when you're doing your initial planning and some other key points along the way. Plan for things not going to plan. You haven't been a good project manager until you've had several disasters. So plan for the things to go wrong, and this can be many different things. It can even be politics, or it could be the intended benefit is actually a threat to the existing staff in the organisation. So you won't be able to prevent everything from happening, but at least have some capacity. And so some examples for that is like deliver project in batches, deliver parts of your project in batches. Make sure you have close communication with stakeholders. Make sure you can anticipate organisational changes. And so you have lots of iterations and engagement stakeholders. It's always helpful to have people who back up your project and what it wants to do if the going gets tough, as long as it's continuing on its aim to deliver business benefit. Build on previous project successes and learn from previous failures. I can't emphasise that enough. And importantly, a bit like mashing up, see every project as part of an overall program to build capability. So if you're going from very manual systems where there's analytics is hardly used in decision making, don't try to overwhelm people with doing everything all at once. People have to learn and adopt to the new capability that they've been given through using the system. And this particularly is going to be a challenge in the space of AI. And so sometimes it's better, and this will depend on the project, to break an overall project up into phases and release it out and give a chance for people to bed into changes and what's possible with the new system. Who knows, they may end up taking later phases in a direction that's far beyond what you even expected. And our last question, what can affect the success of BI projects? Part of the challenge around analytics is that sometimes you actually don't know what the answer is going to be. This is different to, say, in the old days when you would build reports and you'd say you'd want a standard financial report on sales and marketing going out every month. You normally have a bit of an idea of what you want. But particularly when you're making use of things like big data and you look at discovery and your strategic decision making, often it's only once dashboards start to surface reports to decision makers that they have a new understanding of the problem. And in some respects, the project then starts again. We call this sometimes a bit of a wicked problem. So you only see the questions once the project is finished. So anticipate this. Data quality will always, without doubt, be a potential inhibitor to delivering a successful analytics project. Do not underestimate it. So I always have a practice of preemptive data profiling. I've never yet come across a set of data where people have underestimated the quality of the data. Usually they do it the other way around. There's also a dependency on optimised business processes. So you may be asked to develop some analytical capabilities in a business process that's about to be wound down or completely changed in an organisation. It's not that it can't be done, but it may be harder trying to get the people involved in the process engaged in the project. You may even decide with the stakeholder and the sponsor to reorganise parts of the project. Data availability. Even once you're able to do some profiling, getting hold of data can be a bit of a challenge, particularly if the data is in not such a great state and you require people in a particular area who know the data to do things with it. With all the wonderful capabilities that are available through data analytics and leading into areas like automation, this can actually be seen as a threat to existing staff. And as you'll find out from some of the readings relating to AI, and we'll find out about the future of analytics, many jobs and roles will change. So just anticipate this. There's a reliance on people's availability and sometimes a lack of knowledge transfer that can also cripple projects, where basically you need some crucial context information about how data was created and used, or how it should be created and used, that's actually not available. The lack of knowledge transfer, particularly if you've made use of external consultants, can mean that the project's first release is a great success, but then after that you fail to achieve the same heights because you don't have the required skills. And finally, all that data isn't of much use unless you've actually got training and education. That should be a significant investment in any project, because if you're going to develop reports and dashboards or embedded analytics or automation or make use of big data and people actually aren't going to make use of it, it's all been a bit of a waste of time. So anticipate that early on and make sure that gets put into the project plan and budget. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy week 6. See you in week 7.